Hello everybody! Playing now for your reading pleasure is the funny and unexpectedly tragic visual novel Hatoful Boyfriend, migrated by Mediatonic. I briefly played PigeoNation Inc's original title last year, but really sank my teeth into the re-release. What has changed? Will I find true love? Anybody familiar with the visual novel genre, which, coupled with the manga-style artwork, is hugely popular in Japan, will know exactly what to expect with this game. However, you are in for a few treats to reward your persistence. As you click through the dialogue options in this dating simulator, you will find the narrative laying some pretty heavy backstory on you. While at first you're laughing at the eccentricities of the occupants of St. PigeoNation's Institute, usually questioning how romantically involved you would like to get with them, you learn how it is that you are the only human attending the Institute, and why the birds have human-level intelligence. Brace yourselves, you might find that the truth will ruffle your feathers. The cast of characters is heavily derived from the usual and heavily cliched personalities that you will find in most other dating simulators. While this may seem like an uninspired choice, don't count your chickens before they hatch, because familiar characters help keep the complex and mysterious story grounded, and it is easier to empathise with the girl you play as when you can remember that this grey bird is the faithful childhood friend, and that grey bird is the overly friendly psychopath with a short temper. Initially, I found it a little difficult to tell a few of the birds apart before I got to know which character archetype they fell under. Yes, I am a bird racist. There were a few birds who I was instantly interested in getting closer to, because the writing peppers most characters with very interesting irregularities that you want to get to the bottom of. On my third playthrough, I discovered new story paths to follow that I thought I must have accidentally ignored. As it turns out, romance can spread its wings pretty much anywhere, and there are a few characters who can only become romantic interests after the first playthrough. When the complex, satirical and unusual writing is the strongest aspect of the game, playing for more story branches is definitely rewarding, and it is good to see that a visual novel offers post-game content that is normally expected from completely different game genres. Graphically, there isn't much going on. The next closest experience to playing this game would be reading a novelization of it. So, with that in mind, it is nice to have the simple artwork with which the game is presented. The backgrounds are your usual simple, empty location illustrations, but the game decided to use actual bird photographs for the character avatars, and even for a few important scenes that take place. Hatoful goes as far as including humanized portraits of the birds when you meet them. Again, this helps you accept the anthropomorphism that the game relies on, but don't worry hardcore bird fanatics, you can turn this option off. The effect is somewhat whimsical, and even more effective when tied together with the typical dating sim soft pinks and blues in the titles and interface. While it is easy to sink many hours into this game, there really isn't much to be said about the gameplay. You click through dialogue 90% of the time and select conversations for the other 10%. If you're not a fan of reading, then you'd be better off flying the coop, but then you would be missing out. The game spans a school year, allowing you to choose how to spend your time improving the character. Whether it is gaining strength in the gym, wisdom in maths classes, or charisma in music lessons. For the most part, these stats didn't seem to make much difference in the game, which could be because they are essentially worthless, or because the changes they make are subtle and practically invisible. It could also be because I naturally wanted to improve stats that I believed helped advance my relationship with specific birds at certain times. One specific storyline takes wing as the longest and tonally darkest, for which the gameplay alters slightly, which is a little refreshing and got me more involved in what was going on. As you may have expected, the quirkiness of a dating sim with birds is a good initial draw, and the game really delivers on this rather bizarre premise. It looks as good as you'd expect, and I found it funny that they really push the fact that you can experience 1080p Pigeon in this HD release, which I feel is the intended response to something so silly. If Hatoful Boyfriend was nothing more than a 1080p bird dating simulator, it would only be worth a short playthrough to a select few weirdos. But the story is so much deeper, darker, and more complex than that, leaving me hooked and thoroughly entertained. For this reason, I'm happy to give Hatoful Boyfriend an exceptional 6 out of 8. A definite standout title in its genre, offering genuine intrigue with a little foul play. And please don't forget to leave a thumbs up for this review and favourite if you enjoyed it. You can catch more of the Killer Bits by subscribing to this channel, liking us on Facebook at facebook.com/thekillerbits, and following us on Twitter, which seems rather appropriate after this game, at the Killer Bits.